Hey guys, I want to tell you today about my psychedelic experience with MDA or Sassafras, and I had no idea that this whatever substance medicine has psychedelic properties, and I started to read more, and yes, indeed, but my experience was so deeply heart-opening. So the difference between mushrooms, they open all your chakras and the focus is on the third eye. But with MDA or Sassafras, which is made from the oil of sassafras tree that grows like up in north in this country, all over the world. It's specifically, that medicine specifically is focused on heart. And it opens the heart to such an infinite degree, because we're infinite beings. And the healing on this level is so profound. Many of us, including myself, our heart is kind of closed. We guard our heart just because we were hurt since we were little kids. When we're born, our heart is completely open, and then something happens and we protect and we guard, and so all these blocks accumulate. And of course, every heart disease is the sum of accumulation of those blocks. And sassafras is the shamanic medicine to remove the heart disease. So I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. It was my first time and maybe last time, because I've healed so much, I think everything, in this one time, taking only half of the pill. This is really potent stuff, so you don't need a lot. Microdosing may be even good. So here we go. So when I took it, it takes like maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes to start, for the heart to start open. And that opening feels like you can receive and give so much more love, and that feeling of empathy, of compassion. But basically it's just love, a high degree of love that normally we don't experience. And in this state, I realized that I was blocking the love of so many people, and I decided somehow to allow the love. And my statement was, I receive your love. And so I would think of a person and I would say, I receive your love. And because I was such an open state, I felt the specific vibration of the heart level of that person. And the Hindus say that the seat of the soul is in the heart. It's a flame of fire. That's why I decided to do the video with this fire, because it's a flame of fire, which is the essence of God, which is light, which is love, and love is the light according to Ra, and then photons create from love, from the light and everything else. But essentially we all love, a different vibration of love. And so the love of every person was different, very different, just like a different color of a rainbow. And so some people felt very tender, and some people's love was very powerful. And I don't think there are even words to describe. It just really have to be felt by heart. And when you tune in into your own heart, you can start to feel. You can start feeling not only yourself, but also each other, like different people in your life, and how they vibrate. What's the tone of their love? And so, as I say, like I pick, like my uncle, who already passed away, for example, who had very traumatic life. And I said to him, I accept your love. And I felt his love and his vibration, his timbre of the love, but then also I felt his pain. And also like his frustration, his anger, because he was in a certain situation that he thought he could not change. And I felt with my own heart his heart. Because another huge thing I realized, when you go deep in your heart, we all have collectively one heart. And so you can, especially in the family, especially if the trauma is of your mother or father, the children will carry that trauma and it will reflect their life because the connection is so close. But collectively, we all carry each other's trauma deep in our heart. And so, of course, by healing your own heart, you're healing the whole humanity. But the immediate members of your family benefit like right away. The shift happens right away. It's just blew my mind. And so I felt his pain and I was crying his tears. Like I really felt it. And then when he expressed his frustration, when I felt it, I was able to turn that pain and frustration back to love and his original vibration. And I felt almost like relief on his end, even though he's already not with us. But I felt like he was relieved and he was grateful for me to do this work. And then I did one after another. And then I did many people because also I wanted to heal my connection with them. And then finally I was like, who else? And it was a person who gave me the medicine. And I don't know him very closely, but I'm like, okay. And I said, I accept your love. And I felt his love was very tender, very beautiful. But then I started to feel the pain of that person. And it was with him, it was a mother, a disconnect with his mother. Because when I felt the love, it turned into the pain, and all of a sudden I became that little boy, like 6-7 years old boy, and I became him, and I started to scream, "Mom, Mom!" like I lost my mother, and there was no mom, like she's not answering, and so now I was screaming stronger and always like growling, "Mom!" like from the core of my being to the core of existence. And that scream, that depth of the call for the mother was so intense that I felt that I was calling my mother on behalf of every lost child of the whole existence. Whole humanity for sure, but the whole existence, the animal children, the human children, the alien children, like whoever lost. It's such a fundamental, fundamental trauma, the disconnect from the cosmic mother, that just like disconnect from the father. And so many of us, we have it. And so I felt that I was determined to find the mother for all of us. And so in that intensity of the call, I still hear nothing but silence. And I'm like, this is not the way to do it. I guess I have to, maybe I'll ask everybody. I still was that little boy, and I will start to ask, like all of a sudden I sit on the street all by myself, a little kid, and all these strangers around. And I'm asking, have you seen my mom? And they're like, no. Have you seen my mom? No, I didn't see your mom. Have you seen? And I keep asking the strangers, and everybody's like, no. And I'm like, this is not the way. So how can I find my mom? And so I thought maybe if I'll be very, very quiet. And I was like, Mom, like very, like whisper. And all of a sudden I feel this gust of wind like this. And the wind is love, like very, very subtle love, like. And I'm like, oh, Mom, is that you? And she's like, yes, it's me. And I was like, again, this gust, and I'm like, Mom, is it you? And she's like, yes, it's me. I'm like, Mom, are you with me? She's like, yes, I never left you. I've never left you. I was always there around you. But I am the one who closed my heart and started to feel disconnected. My mother was there always for me, just like my father is always for me. In one of my videos, I had experience with reconnecting to my father, who I didn't really have much. He was physically present, but emotionally he was absent. It was like no connection. And so I've healed that, and since then my father is like, I love you, and my father used to say never I love you. And so my mother, the same thing. My mom left me when I was 2 for good reasons, just because she had to go with the dad in some desolate areas, and I was only 2 and she didn't want to. She left it with me with my grandparents. But for the little child, that was before the time of Skype or, phones. For the little child, who was such a small child, when mother leaves, it's equivalent of mother dying. And so for me, the mother that I knew, that I was so connected and so loving, she died. And when she came back in 3 years, she was just like a person. She was like a woman, like average woman. I lost the connection, and a couple days ago I healed it again, and it took 48 years. I was without my mother. 48 years I didn't have that connection, and it was hard because this wound would keep showing up for me in my relationships. When you carry a pain, you will see the mirror image of it in your life. You will see it mirroring in your partners and your relationships, and it did. So and so if you have problems with the relationships, look closer to your relationship with your mother and your father, and the state of your heart. If your heart is closed, then you will meet lots of people who are also very cold. But as soon as you open your heart, it's amazing how it just all opens up. And so I was in such ecstatic state of finding my mother, and I felt her powerful, tender, caring love for the first time since the 48 years again. And it was, it was profound. I was crying the tears of joy. And the next day my mom called me. She told me, I couldn't sleep all night. And my mom she developed a heart disease, and I think it's because of that disconnect. Like nothing can hurt you more than disconnect from your children, or like you're trying to give the love to them, but they don't receive, and it creates such a trauma. It creates pain, and in a heart level, but also the physical organ becomes tightened. In physical, if we speak about physics, I always felt deep in my heart, it was like such a thing stuck there, like on this. I even was massaging it when I was during my trip, because something started to open up there, and in some level, somewhere, my physical heart, it had really tense spot, and I just didn't know how to make it better. But during this experience, I felt that spot start to open up, and I swear to God, I've healed my own physical heart, because the physical heart is controlled or ruled by the heart energy, that heart vortex that looks like this, and it goes into the infinity. And so what the MDA, the medicine, does, it takes you from this deep into the infinity of your own being. And there's no bottom, but at the deeper level, we all are the same heart. And it's a phenomenal experience. I would recommend it pretty much to everybody, because honestly, the peace on earth depends on our heart and how open we are to each other, and how much we give and receive, how love, lots of people still, again, blocking, but a little bit of that medicine opens the flows and it becomes so easy for me. I used to be like shy and guarding, and it was hard for me to open completely in the conversations. But after this experience, it became easier for me to open up on a deeper level. Like it's easy for me to just shine my soul. And mind is a completely different thing. You see, mind has all this programming, and it has all these confusions and all these judgments about yourself, about each other. But on the heart level, that does not exist. On the heart level, you feel only love for yourself and for each other. When it's open and it functions well, you give and receive effortlessly, and there is no judgment, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful all the time, and the connection with people just becomes so beautiful. Even people who I would before like judge or put boundaries, now I'm open and they react to me completely different. Like I see the shift in people immediately. And the shift in my mom was like profound too. And I think just by me opening my heart, I can help her without even giving her the medicine. I think it's just me shifting will shift her because we're so connected. So that was my experience with MDA. I am so blessed that I had it. And it's funny because a couple days before I had, like a day before I had this experience, I was like, okay, I've connected with my father and I've healed my relationship with my father, but what about my mother? And that's it. And that was open question. And then immediately, like literally the next day, this experience came to me, and it was done. Truly, the being is the life is miraculous, and we're miraculous. We get used to, take the world as ordinary and like living so-called ordinary life, but it's all magical. And when you go to the heart, you can truly feel the magic. That's another thing. I start to have such an immense lucid dreams where I really see how intelligent the nature is, because everything has heart. Like animals are infinitely intelligent. It's easier for me to communicate even with animals now. Not only people, but animals don't judge, so it's not as complicated. Humans without well-developed brain, our ability to judge each other and ourselves is just, can be a problem. But again, if you go to your heart, it's like it's not an issue anymore. We just also linking the heart with the mind. Mind being the primary brain. The primary brain is the heart, and the secondary is the mind. And if we would understand this connection and this relationship that way, then it will be much easier for us to create a more harmonious society too. And I think in lots of indigenous cultures, that was the case. The heart was the primary brain, and the mind was the secondary. And that's it. I just want to give you a little disclosure about taking this pill. Mine looked like a little pink heart, and be careful where you get it. And if you never get it from somebody you don't know, get from known source. If you know anybody or somebody, the person who already had it. It's now so hard. I do not trust any pills, but I took it. Somebody who gave it to me, he had it. He says this is amazing, so this was good. But if it's just some random source, they can mix anything, in it. And so if you ever have something like that in the form of a pill or powder, just microdose first. Just take tiny little amount and see how you react. Wait for 2 hours, see how your body reacts. So don't gulp something you don't know. right away because it can be just very dangerous. That's why personally I prefer plant medicine, where it's like, if it's a shroom, you can see it's a shroom. It's more or less, you know, organic, although it's nice to know how they grew it. I prefer to know that too, but it's not like some powders, God knows what can be from which labs can be mixed in that stuff. So be very careful. Sassafras tree, or sassafras tree, it grows, as I mentioned, in North America, and I tried making, like back when I lived there, to make a tea from the bark of a tree. It grows everywhere like a weed. It's very prolific, and of course, just the tea. It was very relaxing and nice tasting, but it didn't have such I think you have to have big amounts of that bark to cook it and everything. So anyways, just wanted to share with you this, and thank you for watching. Okay, thank you, bye.